Good morning, everyone. It's Christophe Choo coming to you live from Coldwell Banker Global Luxury in beautiful Beverly Hills, California. For those of you that don't know, I've been selling luxury real estate here in the Westside, Los Angeles areas now for, about 28 years. And I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I'm an LA kid. I know these streets like the back of my hand, and I love what I do selling real estate. It's been a great 28-year ride since I was basically 18 years old. And I love counseling and helping people and selling their homes and helping buyers find their dream homes. So I'm coming to you today with my little market update for the first quarter of 2017. I always love sharing the stats and what's going on in the marketplace so that you as buyers can get some general information. And then what usually happens is the buyers and sellers contact me directly, and then I help them specifically and guide them in the sale of their home or the purchase of their next home. So here in Los Angeles, in our West Side market areas, we have different neighborhoods, which we'll talk about. And for us in LA, luxury is $5 million. Some areas at $700,000, outside of LA, $1.5 million, $2 million. It's always different all across the country. But here in Los Angeles, $5 million is kind of the benchmark for our luxury marketplace. So let's talk a little bit about what's been going on this first quarter of 2017 versus what happened in 2016. So far this year, in the $5 million plus range overall, there have been 148 closed sales so far this year, the first quarter, versus 149 last year. So it's insignificantly different. One less sale this year than last year. And that could just simply be their day closed before or after. So really nothing much has changed. Now, in the $10 million plus market, we have definitely seen some slight change, actually not slight changes, pretty strong increase in the market. And this has been going on now for 6 or 7 years. So in the 10 million plus range so far this year, there have been 52 sales that have closed versus 44 in total in 2016. So $10 million plus homes have increased in the number of sales by 18%. And just as an example, I sold a house in Beverly Hills that I closed escrow on about a week ago on Friday. I sold that property to the clients in 2010, so a little bit less than 7 years. At the time, it sold for $11 million, and I just sold it for $18.8 million. And it's a property that there were no improvements done to it. It was purchased as a tear down to tear down. The clients ended up buying something else. And so 6.5 years on the since they bought it, increased in value by 71%, and it was rented for $25,000 a month for those 7 years, which basically carried the property during that time. So interesting that in a $10 million home, $11 million purchased less than 7 years ago, just sold for 18.8. So 71% increase in the value of that particular property in Beverly Hills. So again, 52 sales so far this year over 10 million versus 44 last year at this time. So it's an 18% increase. And currently there are 10 properties in escrow over 10 million. So the market is very healthy in the high-end sector. 20 million plus, here's another interesting factor. So we have 19 closed sales so far this year versus 5 in 2016. So it's almost 4 times the number of closed sales over 20 million this year versus last year. So it's kind of an interesting stat that sometimes the higher you go, the stronger the market. Now, and there's also 2 currently pending over 20 million in the West Side areas. In the $30 million plus range, there have been 9 closings so far this year. Last year at this time, there were none. So 9 this year versus none last year. 900% increase. So $30 million market is booming. $20 million market is booming. $10 million plus market is booming. $5 million plus market is about the same. The only sector that's really down a little bit this year is the $40 million plus market. We've had 4 sales so far in 2017 over 40 million, and last year there were 6 sales over 40 million at the same time. So that particular segment is down about 34%. In the last 30 days, there were 12 homes that sold over 10 million in Los Angeles. And currently there are 21 pending over 10 million, and again, 1 over 20 million. So one of the interesting factors is LA is one of those marketplaces that has a lot of foreign and international buyers. So we always like to track where are these high-end buyers coming from. So interestingly enough, and this is for the $20 million market specifically, of which there have been 19 closed sales so far this year, 11 have been American clients, so U.S. residents, live in New York, Chicago, Miami. They want an LA place. So 11 out of 19 have been American buyers. 4 have been mainland Chinese this year. Now, last year we didn't see any over 20 million for the mainland Chinese buyers, but this year they're back in droves. As a matter of fact, the one I closed in Beverly Hills was sold to a Chinese developer who's going to tear it down and build a beautiful mega estate on one of the best streets in the city. So 4 Chinese this year, 1 Indonesian, 1 from the UK, 1 from Scotland, and 1 from parts unknown. Another interesting factor is 10 of these 19 homes over 20 million were sold off-market. And I've been selling more and more off-market homes. Sometimes I get a listing and we need time to prepare it for sale, which could take 30, 40, 50 days between painting and staging and cleaning up the house and doing repairs. So we kind of give the sellers the option, and some sellers choose to quietly go off-market, put it off-market for the first 30, 60 days, and a lot of these homes are selling, particularly in the higher end you go. Generally, I think it's a mistake for most sellers because you can get more money by being actually on the market. But just an interesting aside that almost half the sales were sold off-market. So where's the gap right now? It seems our slowest gap is the $5 to $10 million range. That seems, it's not the slowest, but it's the slowest overall, and sales are down about 3%. So it's still a very, very healthy market. But it just seems it's not quite as active as the other areas. Where are these sales happening? So 5 of the $20 million sales were in Beverly Hills City. 3 were in the Beverly Hills Post Office, which again, for those of you that don't know, is part of the city of Los Angeles, but it has the Beverly Hills 90210 address. It's up in the hills. And so 3 in the Beverly Hills Post Office, 3 closed in Bel Air, 1 in Beverly Hills, 1 in the Sunset Strip, 1 in Hollywood Hills, 1 in the Sunset Strip, 3 in Malibu, and 1 in Pacific Palisades. So that's kind of the overall market. The market is very strong, very healthy. Also, for the other marketplaces, we're seeing definitely condos on the Westside under $1 million, $1.1 million. Just about every condo is getting multiple offers. So, and we're seeing a lot more multiple offers, particularly under the $5 million range, and even in the upper end range. My listing that sold for $18.8 million, we had 2 different rounds of multiple offers, which was quite interesting, and we got $18.8 million. Oh, and another thing about that, which I thought was really cool, in Beverly Hills there have been 29 sales in the last 7 years over $10 million, and I realized that I represented 5 of those. So my market share in Beverly Hills, which is the premier area in LA, is currently at 13%. May not sound a lot to some of those that sell real estate in other areas, but for Beverly Hills, that's a big deal. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my little market update. That's what's going on here in LA and the West Side. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, and need some good counseling and good advice, look, I'm an old timer at this now, 28 years. And I know every home, I see every home. Today's caravan day, so in about an hour or so I'll be out touring for 3 hours every single new listing on the market. And the more you know, the more you sell, because market knowledge is one of the key aspects to being a top professional real estate agent. Anyways, hope you enjoyed my little video. I'll see you next month, and take care and have an amazing day. Thanks.